I'm just getting a little bit of the extra water off of the corn husks.
Did you have them in water?
I soaked them in warm water to make they're stored with like a little bit of vinegar on them, so you rinse them a couple of times to get that vinegar off. And then you just take your masa mixture, which is masa shortening. Sometimes I just use my fingers to press it out because if the corn husks are wet, I find that it just slides right off of it. And
so the making of the masa, how do you do that?
It's cornmeal. You take some shortening and you beat it with like a blender, not a blender. What do you call those? Beaters. You know, like you use to make a cake. And you get it nice and light and fluffy. And then you mix in some masa and some baking powder and salt. And then it gets kind of a crumbly mixture. So then you add in a little bit of your broth until it gets to be like a paste. It should be like a paste, a spreadable paste. Then I roast the pork, or actually like I cooked the pork in a mojo marinade that I put together.
How do you do that?
Well, the one I do is onion, garlic, green chilies, oranges. I'm trying to think of what else I put in there. I can't remember what else I put in there. But I do mine pretty, you can put spicier chilies in there, but I do most of my stuff just really pretty mild so that my kids eat it. Mojo marinade is really more of a Cuban marinade, but I think it tastes good with pork. You can make an enchilada sauce and just roast the pork and then just toss it with like a little bit, this is a little bit too much masa here. You want it to only be a little bit thick. If you do it too thick, it's going to take forever to cook. Like 1/8 of an inch. I don't know, that's what I do, like 1/8 of an inch. After the pork is done, you pull it apart, and then I take there's bay leaves. So I take the bay leaves and the orange rinds out, and then I blitz the rest of it with an immersion blender. And then I mix it in with the pork before putting it into this. You just fold it over in half, and then again on itself like this, and then I just set it up like that. And then once these are all done and assembled, you're gonna put them in a steaming basket over boiling water, upright like this. And because of the baking powder in there, it's going to expand a little bit over the top, but it shouldn't be too much. So you're just gonna keep steaming it. It could take like 45 minutes to an hour. You just have to make sure that there's enough water in the bottom of it so it doesn't burn off. So you just keep adding water like every 15 minutes. And it could take about 45 minutes to an hour, but what I do is, hold on a second, I gotta get these so that they don't come unfolded. Then I'll take one out and I kind of feel it. It needs to feel firm. It doesn't smush to the touch because it'll firm up even more as it comes out and cools. But you don't want it to be smushy. The cornmeal has to cook. But it's really easy. It's just time consuming to make, to do all the parts. But it tastes really good. And then you make an enchilada sauce. And you pour the enchilada sauce over the top after you unwrap it. And even my Pennsylvania Dutch family will eat it. Which says a lot because they cook all their vegetables to within an inch of their life and pour cream sauce on everything. And they think that Mexican food is the height of exotic food. God forbid you should eat anything with curry in it. That would be insane. I love them to death, but they're not adventurous eaters. My mother-in-law, when she first saw Dan eating asparagus, said, or asparagus or broccoli, I can't remember. She said, how in the world did you get him to eat his vegetables? I said, what do you mean? She said every time when he was little, if I want him to eat his vegetables, I had to put cream sauce on it. I don't know. I just like steamed it, put a little bit of kosher salt on it, and then put it on his plate, and he eats it every day. So I don't know.
No cream sauce.
No cream sauce.
Right.
And the cream sauce is just a little bit. How does she make it? She does a little bit of butter or a little bit of oil, I think, and a little bit of flour, and then some like 1% milk, and a little bit of salt and pepper. It's the most basic cream sauce. I don't really understand how it added flavor to anything. To me, it'd be like adding oatmeal over, like taking oatmeal and putting it over top of your green beans or your. Just like so. Really. What's the word I'm looking for? Like bland, you know?
Yeah. Well, Pennsylvania Dutch isn't that spicy food, you know?
No, Pennsylvania Dutch food is like all. Well, they'll make chicken and dumplings, right? But chicken and dumplings is not like the German dumplings that I'm used to eating. Like these big fluffy dumplings that Grandma used to make.
Yeah.
They're flat noodles. They just fill it up with flat noodles and doesn't have a crust on the top.
Oh man.
Chicken pot pie doesn't have a crust on the top. It's just. Ask me what the difference is between chicken pot pie and chicken and dumplings, and I could not tell you. You go out to Lancaster and I could not tell you what the difference is between the two because they're made exactly the same way. Maybe one has a biscuit on top. I don't know.
Didn't we go out there and eat brains one time? Brains?
Calf brains?
Calf
I don't
brain?
remember, but that is something that they'll serve, calf brain. I don't think I would ever eat that.
Everybody
like
told me you got to try this.
Mad cow. Are you thinking of not calf brain? Are you thinking of scrapple?
Yeah, scrapple.
Scrapple doesn't have brain in it.
Oh, okay.
Scrapple's literally just the scraps of all the meat that's left over.
Oh, okay.
So it's mostly all just pork.
Yeah.
It's just like all the pork scraps.
It was kind of peppery, as I remember. It
has cornmeal in it.
Oh, it has
They take cornmeal and mix it with all the scraps. See, when you got ones that are like this, it's not quite big enough. You have to layer another one, so I usually try and find another smaller one that's in good shape. These are all pretty good. But I'll just use these. I'll layer them across one another just to give it a little bit more structure. And I mean, I don't know if this is exactly the way that you do it. I think everybody's abuela makes them a little bit different, and they probably all make them better than I do. This white chick from Wisconsin, white chick from Pennsylvania via Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
I think I've almost spent as many years in Pennsylvania now as I did in Wisconsin. Definitely more as an adult than. But you pick up a little bit of stuff as you go, right? Big pieces I want to break down, otherwise you'll cut in or bite into it and the whole thing's going to come sliding out in your mouth. Remember when I was in high school, I went out to lunch with my friends Joanne and Sue and ate this burger. Was up at that place up at 4 Mile Road and Maine. What is it, Durango's?
Durango's.
Does that sound right? No. 4 Mile Road and it was Main Street. I remember when I was real little, you and Mom took me there and used to go there and get the French onion soup. It wasn't Durango's?
No, I don't remember that at all.
I ate this burger and they cut their onions like they would for a French onion soup, you know, so it's like really long, thin strands. Mm-hmm. And it was coming off the burger, and so I was it was hanging down on my chin, so I was like flipping it into my mouth. And they said that I look like a pelican eating my food. I'll never forget that. So anyway, make sure that these are in little bits so you don't look like a pelican trying to eat a tamale. That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I gotta tell you though, when I made these and Dan's brother came over, Dan's brother notorious for like eating a whole pizza by himself. I was like, Darren, here's your 3 tamales. You get 3 tamales. That's it. I was portioning them out for everybody so I could keep some in the freezer.
And?
Huh?
And he said, where's the rest of it?
No, he just took what he got. He didn't argue with me. I'm the queen of my kitchen, I guess. Don't argue with the chef. You get 3 tamales. That's it. You take so much time to make these things. You don't want someone who doesn't appreciate it to just scarf them down. I don't know how all these awesome Mexican mamas do it for teenage boys.
Yeah.
You know, because of how long this stuff takes to do.
Well, I know the price on 12 tamales is pretty steep, but you got to realize how much work is involved.
Well,
you know,
and like Phoebe was saying before, when they do mass tamales like this, they probably have a different consistency for their masa, where they can just take it like with a spatula and they just like flop it on there, like put it on their hand, they'll flop it on their hand and just do like that. It's almost probably like a light peanut butter or something like that. I probably don't have the best consistency for masa. I haven't really seen how it's supposed to be in a kitchen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just follow what the instructions are that I've read, that I know. And it's supposed to be like a paste. And so I don't know, maybe this is too thick. But it's how I make it. And until someone comes along and shows me differently, they can make their own tamales, I guess.
So the executive housewife, chef, whatever you're called these days.
The executive housewife?
Yeah, she doesn't make this for her customers at all?
No. No.
It would be too much work, huh?
Oh my gosh. I rank all my dishes on a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 would be the thing that takes the most amount of time to make. You know? This would be like a 7.
Yeah.
I just made pineapple teriyaki meatballs, which is a recipe that I made myself. I made out myself. And it's based on the same sort of filling of a Chinese dumpling, like pork and scallions, ginger. No, I don't think I put ginger in it. Minced garlic, sesame oil. Did I say scallions already?
Yeah.
Soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, not soy sauce. Anyway, but by the time you mix the meat, I do 2 parts pork to 1 part beef. By the time you mix the meat together and all the seasoning, and I just put the pork on before the masa. Before you do all of that, I had 18 meatballs. So I have to portion out every meatball. And by the time you portion out all the meatballs, I had 35 orders. So that's 350 plus, am I adding this right? 350 and then 5 times 18. Let's just say it was 500 meatballs that I had to make by hand. And then you have to make the sauce. Oh, and all the meatballs were seared off in a pan first, because you can't just freeze them as meatballs. You have to cook them off a little bit first so that they don't just turn into like one giant block of meat in the freezer. So I made 500 meatballs by hand, and then seared them all off, packaged them, made the sauce for it, poured the sauce on it. So yeah, that was a 5, and that one does not get made very often. Same as like I have a Salisbury steak that I do. That one doesn't get made very often. I have a few things that are just a beef Wellington. That's just for Valentine's Day.
How many customers do you have now?
This last time I probably had 25 customers, and I made over 170 items. I think I probably had 12 items on my menu, and so 170 total of everything.
So when the people place the order, you give them, you just tell them what you're going to make this week, and do you want to place your order, or do you have to make certain things for certain people every week?
I put out a menu. For this one, I had made a menu, and then I had posted some pictures of my stuff on my Facebook group, because everybody just orders off of my Facebook group. And I put pictures of stuff up there, and I put the pictures of the pineapple teriyaki meatballs. And someone said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed this. Next time I'm definitely ordering this." And so I gotta listen to my customers. If they tell me they're definitely gonna order something, like, it has to go on the menu, because I know that people are definitely gonna order it. It would be dumb not to do that. So I put out a menu every 2 weeks, and I say, I put it out on, let's say I put it on Tuesday. I'll deliver food on Monday, put out a new menu on Tuesday, and say you have till the following Monday to deliver, to order. And they just place their order on my Facebook group, like on the post that has the menu on it. And then after I receive all the orders, I place an order for the food that I need. And I go to the farmer's, it's not really a farmer's market, it's called Produce Junction. And so I go to Produce Junction and I order all my produce, and I come home and I prep it all myself. I've had to hire helpers in the past, but no one that I trust is available right now. I don't want to work with just anybody, because I'm picky like that. So I cooked for 6 days this last time. I cooked for 6 days, but I do it on a schedule that allows me to be there for the kids' stuff at school, or to be there and make sure I get them off the bus on the last day of school, stuff like that. So, I mean, I could get it done faster if I hired someone else. I could get it done faster if I had, I said I'm working 9 to 5 straight, or like whenever the kids get off the bus until, but I just work according to my own schedule. I mean, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it'll eventually get done. You have a goal, you know that you have to reach it, and I set personal goals each day. I say I have 170 things. That means I have to make 40 things each day. And so I just keep working until those 40 things are done. So there was a couple of nights where I had to take an hour or two off in the middle of the afternoon to go to Eden's author's tea at school, or something for Josh, take him to baseball practice, stuff like that. And I just worked then until like 8 or 9 o'clock.
Is that that's not like every day though, is it?
It's every other week.
Every other week, okay.
But then in the opposite weeks, that's when I have to do like any ordering that I have to do for any of my, some things I have on the menu regularly, like my beef and bean burritos with cilantro lime rice. So I'll make those on the off weeks. Or I sell pre-made cookie dough, or pre-portioned cookie dough, where it's made and portioned into 1 ounce balls and then frozen. So all they have to do is take the ball, whatever they want, however many they want to make, they take them out of the freezer while the oven preheats. And while the oven preheats, the ball defrosts enough that it can get into the go into the oven and come out perfect. So I'll make those. Like this last time it was peanut butter oatmeal cookies. So I can make those on the off week, because if I have extra of those, it's not really a big deal. But stuff that's always on the menu right now, that's burritos, prepared taco meat, prepared marinated grilled chicken. I have an antipasto meal starter, which is artichokes, fresh mozzarella, pepperoni in a scampi sauce. I know scampi is really like shrimp scampi, but it's like white wine, butter, garlic, parsley. And then all they have to do is just defrost it and put it into a pan and saute it and toss it with some, you could toss it with some chicken or some, I don't know, shrimp would go good with pepperoni, but why not if you wanted to.
So it's not like a complete meal that you're making them, you're just...
I make the components of a complete meal.
Oh, you do?
So they can order my white chicken enchiladas, and on the side there could be, they'll order the main, the dinner main, and then they have sides. Like I'll have a Mexican street corn casserole to go with the white chicken enchiladas. Or they could get like a coconut rice to go with it. So you don't have to get, you know, for a family, one dinner main feeds 2 to 3 people. So that's 6 enchiladas for $10. And they just defrost it and pop it in the oven. The chicken inside is cooked, so they just have to really heat it all the way through, get it all melty and good. They don't have to, I'd say that feeds 2 to 3 people. Depends on how hungry you are and whether or not you have a side. I make this cowboy caviar. That's black beans and black-eyed peas. That's bell peppers, corn. Mediterranean chickpea salad I just made up. That's selling pretty good because it's all stuff that, you know, it's frozen, but you can defrost it. It just has a vinaigrette in it, you know, but it's got vegetables that are in it that can freeze well, and when it defrosts, it doesn't change the texture of it. Like I couldn't do anything with tomatoes, but the olives, artichokes, chickpeas, black beans, roasted red peppers, like all of that stuff, that's not gonna change textures once it's frozen. Then they can just defrost. I have one customer, she's a friend of mine, that whenever I make my quinoa salad that has like a lemon vinaigrette and scallions and feta cheese and bell peppers, whenever I make that, she gets like 3 or 4 of them because she said that her family doesn't eat it. She just defrosts it and keeps it in the refrigerator, and whenever she's hungry throughout the day, she just goes over and takes a bite of it right out of the quart container because nobody else eats it. But then she knows that she's getting a little bit of protein and balanced carbohydrates throughout the day. You know, it's like different than going and eating a bag of Cheetos or something like that. You know, she's getting that savory and the good fats and good carbs with protein and yada yada, all the things that people say now. So I'm enjoying what I do, so just keep doing it until you don't enjoy it anymore, right?
Yep. Well, it looks like we're going to have a good meal tonight.
Well, you know what I do too? You freeze, once you steam them, just pop them, just freeze them, because then all you have to do is just pop them in the microwave, you know? So it pays to make like 50 of them. You know, we'll probably eat them all. Got enchilada sauce that you can pour over top of them.
Yeah.
The enchilada sauce is super easy to make. I mean, I know it's not expensive to buy, but you just take oil, and it's like a cup of oil, half a cup of chili powder, probably about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, a tablespoon of onion powder, I'm trying to remember it. Probably like 3 tablespoons, I think, of cumin. I know you're not crazy about cumin, but
Oh, I put cumin in the chili last night. I didn't.
I think I love cumin because it gives you the flavor of Latin American food, not just Mexican, but
Right.
it gives you like that savory and smoky, earthy flavor without the spice. And I can't eat the spice. It'll kill me. I'm trying something new and doing the cooking of these tamales in an Instapot instead of steaming them on the stove, because they would normally take an hour and a half to steam on the stove. And what I did is I put the steamer insert inside the Instapot and then put some corn husks in the bottom so that they don't fall through. And I'm just gonna.
Now the Instapot's like the old pressure cooker, only digital. Is that?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just taking the folded side down, open side up, putting them in there. I'm not going to jam them in there. There still has to be room for the steam to move around, according to the Google. And then you put, like, what did it say? It said 250 milliliters. So that one, this is how I know what 250 milliliters is. A bottle of wine is 750 milliliters and about 3.5 cups. So I'm going to say that's about 1 cup plus 3 tablespoons
Of water.
of water. So that's probably about 20 of the ones we made in there.
It's 21.
You counted?
We got 32 altogether.
Okay.
And I helped.
And so I'm going to put like a cup of water, cup and a quarter, cup and an eighth of water in the bottom. And then turn it on high pressure 20 minutes. And once it builds pressure, the 20 minutes will count down, and then you do a natural release on it where the pressure dissipates on its own. So we'll see how it turns out.